All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott, formerly of Rankin Technical College. And as you can see on the screen here, in my YouTube channel, JPS-Jeff Teaches Programming, I believe this is video number 50 in the Jeff Teaches Programming-Python YouTube playlist. Now, what I did in my last video, and I'll quickly show you, all right, is, let's see. I created this application, and for now, just so when I run it again, I'm going to remove the database. But what I did was I created an application. Let me go down to the very bottom of it, because I kind of took everything there, and at the end, I kind of summarized it. So in the program, I showed how to connect to SQLite 3 for a Python app, how to create a cursor, how to create a table, how to insert a single record into a table, how to insert multiple records into a table, how to query data, how to update data, and how to delete data. In other words, I did a CRUD application. Now, the only bad thing, so to speak, about that is I threw everything into main. So this program, with all of its comments, is 350 or 351 lines long. All right? And what I'd like to do now is I'm going to grab the, in fact, I don't think I'll even grab anything. What I want to do is I want to rewrite this program. And I want to rewrite it so that all those CRUD operations that you saw, I'm going to put each one of them into its own function. All right, so that's the plan of what to do next. All right, so I should just have the database in there. Let me open it again with code, and let me run it. Just so you can see, this is what it does. All right, so we did all these operations, and I'm going to basically do the same thing. All right, but when I do it this time, I'm going to have my Demo02, and I call this one Demo01 DB. So as you probably guess, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Demo02. In fact, let's open it up. There's nothing in it. You can see. I'm going to open this up with code. I'm going to create a new file, but this one will be Demo02.py. Demo02.py. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to basically go back in and do what I did before in Demo01db.py. But what I want to make sure that I do in here is I want to make sure that I do it and I write different functions, not methods. We'll talk about that later. But I want to write different functions rather than just having a main in here. So that's the plan. That's what I want to do in this particular application. All right, ideally, I'm going to have just about, when I get done, I'm going to have pretty much the same thing, all right, as we had before. So let's just put a little comment up here. And I'm going to put, in this non-object-oriented program, we put each of the CRUD operations, and again, those are create, also known as insert, read, also known as select, update, and delete. Again, if you take the first letter, that's C, R, U, D, or CRUD. in its own function. So what I'd like to do is basically first show you, all right, what I'd first like to show you here are the changes made from Demo01 db.py. First, separation of CRUD operations. You already saw that. So again, let's close this. Each CRUD operation has been put into its own function. That's first thing. Number two, exception handling. Each database operation has been wrapped within a try except block to handle any exceptions. Finally, function parameters. Adjusted the functions to accept necessary parameters such as con, which of course is our database connection, and the appropriate employee table details. Okay, so that's where we're starting from. Okay, now like I said, the idea here is we're writing the same program that we wrote before, but rather than throwing everything that we have, rather than throwing everything into main, we're separating it out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import SQLite 3. Next, we're going to have a function called create database connection. All right. And this function will attempt to create a, let's say here, create and return a database connection. All right, and we're putting this into a try-catch block. So def create connection. All right, so we're going to try, and then down on the bottom here, we're going to have except. All right, so don't worry, we're getting that error because we haven't written anything in our try yet, but we'll write it right now. So con equals SQLite 3.connect, and we're going to call this one, we call the last one test1.db, so we'll call this one test2.db. All right, and then we're going to just do a print. I'm going to try to use F strings from now on, so even if I don't need them. Database connection established. All right, and I'm going to return that connection. All right, now if we have a problem, Okay, it's going to be some kind of an SQLite error. And we're going to do this pretty much the same way every time. I'm just going to print, again with an F string, problem trying to connect to the problem trying to create database connection. And we'll put the problem in there, which will be E. Okay, and we don't get anything, so we will return none. So that is the first one. Again, we're using this to try to create our database connection. So we attempt to do this. If we can, we're just going to print here, connection established, and return that connection. If we can't, we're going to say there was a problem, and we're going to return none. Now, hopefully, that makes sense. All right. Now, on the bottom here, and this is going to be way down at the bottom, I'm going to have my def main, and I'm going to say con equals create connection. All right. And there'll be a bunch more stuff underneath this. But I'm also going to have here if underscore underscore name underscore equal double quote underscore main underscore double quote call main. Okay. So if name equals main, call main. Here it says main is not defined. Well, we've got here def main, and I think that has to be moved over. There we go. All right. Now, if this works, we should get this back. And if this doesn't work, we should get this. That's it. Now, you'll notice we do not have a file called test2.db, but let's do a file, save all. Let's run this. Database connection established. And there's our test2.db. All right, so we're on our way. The first routine that we wrote to create the database connection worked. All right, now we're not going to have to write a function to create a cursor. I'm just telling you that right now. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do in here, we're going to create another function. Don't worry, I'm going to get an error here, but I'm going to change the name right away. This is going to be called create database table. All right, and it will need a connection. All right, so there's our create database table. We'll attempt to create a database table. All right, again, it will be inside of a try with an except. And again, we're getting the same error for the same reason we did before. All right, what I can do is I can grab this, because I want to do basically the same thing here. All right, so except SQLite error problem trying to, looks like I spelled create wrong up there. So problem trying to create database table. All right, so in this try, what I care about in here then all right, then I had to step out for just a minute, so we were in the middle of creating the database table. So Again, what we're going to do every time is we're just going to create a new cursor. So C equals con.cursor. Then we're going to just start to create our queries. So create employee table, table query equals, let's put in our doc string. And we'll put it in. So create table, very similar to what we did before. If not exists, employees, paren, we don't need those curly braces, of course. The parens can be put on, I mean, again, all this could be put on the same line. All right, quite often what I'm doing here is what people do, is they just separate stuff out so it's easier to read. So again, first name, text, not null, last name, text, not null, and email, text, and they can be null. All right, so that is basically the query that we're going to use to create the table. Again, it doesn't look very different, if at all, from what we did before. All right, so we've got our exception there. So let's go down to here, and we're going to say c.execute. Execute. All right, we want to execute our create employees table query. And then we want to commit. That's a con.commit. All right. And then we will print here with an F string. Employees table successfully created. Again, if you don't like that, put whatever you'd like down there, you know. Now, it doesn't like something here. We've got con.commit. And we're getting con is not defined. Well, we thought we did that up here. We're getting the same error here. Well, here we've got it. Now, could be that the reason we're getting that error, all right, is that we have defined that inside of a try block. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up here at the top of my program, right up here, and I'm going to say con equals nothing. All right, which kind of means that in here I'm going to have to make it global. It's a sign before a global declaration. It's true. Don't think we can just say con. See, it needs to have something. It says it's not defined. All right. Let's see. So it's okay here. We tried it. We created this in here. To be honest with you, I didn't think I was going to get this error, so let's see. Well, we got con right there equals create connection, so that should be okay. So let's see, con.commit. Looks like now, like I have no error. All right. So let's go in, get rid of this database. All right. And now if this works, Well, we haven't called it yet, so let's go in and call that as well. All right, so down here, okay, we've got main, and in main, we're creating our connection. And then we'll say if con, meaning if the connection was created. All right, we will call our create database table, and we'll pass our connection to it. All right, let's see what that does. So we have here, oh, we're getting there. Okay, we'll fix it. All right, it says create database table takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. Okay, then let's fix that. All right, so in our create database table that we have right here, all right, so in that create database table, we need to pass in our connection. All right, so let's try it again. File, save all, run it. And what did we get? Our connection was established. It was established and our employees table was successfully created. That's exactly where we want to be right here. All right, so let's continue on. Now, created, established. There we go. All right, so what do we want to do next? Well, we've got a function right now, so far, one that creates the connection and another one that creates the table. All right, and if we do this kind of in order, the next one should be to insert a single employee. We don't need this here anymore. All right. So that'll be down here. All righty. So this we'll call this exactly again right what it is. Insert one employee. We will need the connection. We will also need that employee. Okay. We can call it emp. We can call it whatever we want. This function will attempt to insert a single employee into the employees table. All right, so again, we're going to call this, I'm going to grab all this. Let's define it. Oops. All right, so what do we want to do here? Well, as we have been doing, we're going to start with a try. All right, and in that try, we're going to say C equals con.cursor. We're creating this every time, so it's going to be local, and we're just going to basically create it when or as we need it. So insert employee query is going to be equal to, again, we'll put in our doc string. And that's going to be insert into employees. First name, last name, email. Let's move this over here. Values, question mark, question mark, question mark. All right. Notice I'm very devoid here of writing a lot of comments because I did that in the last one, and I'd just be replicating what I'd already put down. So c.execute, we want to run insert one employee, and we want the employee that we pass in to be our employee. And then we commit. We can print. Employee. And we can say their names, so why not? Emp 0, Emp 1, successfully inserted into table. Okay. And we'll grab our same accept that we've been doing, except I'll change the message. All right. Problem trying to, we're going to say here, insert database record. All right. So if this works, all right, if this works, we should see that that employee was successfully inserted. Let's get rid of the database again. Let's save. Let's move this up and let's run. So clear. There we go, and let's run this. So, all right, we got that, but we didn't get our message here. We got that the table was successfully created. That's good, but we didn't get our message. So let's see what could have been wrong. Print. The thing is here, it doesn't like this. What if we just said employee successfully inserted? I want to see if that's what the problem is. Nope. Employees table successfully. There's something that's wrong here. And that's okay. This is why we continue to go on and debug this stuff. All right. So let's see. Oh, I know what it is. I'm never calling it. So after we create the database table, all right, we have to do call our insert. So insert one employee. We need the connection, and we use the same one we did before. In fact, let's say instead of Janet Dawson, let's say Ryan Peters. And we'll give Ryan an email of rpeters@gmail.com. All right. So the problem we had, the program was running, but since we were never calling this, we never told it to insert the employee. All right. So let's go back to where we put this. Instead of employee successfully here, let's see if we can put this in. If what we put in was correct or not. So I'm hoping that what this is going to say is Ryan Peters successfully inserted into table. So file, save all. Did we remove the database? We did not. All right, so file, save again. And let's bring this up and run it. Move this up to the top. Okay, we get an error. All right. It says insert one employee takes 2 positional arguments, but 4 were given. And looks like it's either line 89 or 82 that's giving us the error. So let's look. There's 89. There were 4 there. And when we call it, oh, con M for employee, C equals con dot cursor, insert one employee equals, it's our try, yeah, insert into employees, last name, email, values, put that. Commit it. I think the problem is in this. All right, I think we're going to have to do it like this. And I want to see if that fixes it. So again, let's get rid of the database. Again, you're hopefully seeing why you might want to use an in-memory database instead of the way I'm doing it here. So let's run it again. So file, save, run it. Still getting an error. Same error. Takes 2 positional arguments, but 4 were given. All right, we're going to fix it. I'm going to stay here until we do fix it. Ah, it's the way I'm passing it. I'm passing this as 3 parameters. What I want to do is I want to come in and put parens around this and basically do the equivalent of pass it in as a list. Now it's being passed in as a single parameter. That should make sense. All right, so file, save all. Again, do I have to remove the database? Yes, I do. Let's save and run it again. All right. I'm making progress though. It says execute. Argument 1 must be a string and not a function. Okay. 77, 89, and 92. Okay. I got insert one employee here, but here I've got insert employee query. Okay. Could be what the problem is. Let's see. So run it again. Well, that looks better. Now it does say employee Ryan. So as I had in here before, let's quickly do this. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Now I want to add the one here. Now it should say employee Ryan Peters successfully inserted into table. And there it is, employee Ryan Peters and successfully inserted into table. All right, so we're getting there. So after we inserted a single employee, the next one that we wanted to do was we wanted to be able to insert multiple employees. All right. What I think I'm going to do for now is just I'm going to copy this whole thing and put it right below. Now there will have to be changes made, of course. All right, so we'll change this from insert one employee to insert multiple employees. All right, we'll still need our connection, and now it'll be emps because it's employees. This function will attempt to insert multiple employees into the employees table. So this is insert multiple employees. And again, I need emps here. Another try, bring in the cursor. This will be insert multiple employees. This is going to be emps. This is going to be what gets put in here. All right, so now insert into employees. Same kind of thing we had before, but we need another parameter in here now. We don't need in here any more. We don't need this. All right, we need these values, comma, emps. That's our employees. All right. Then we'll execute, but when we do the execute, if you remember from the last video, we need to do an execute many here because we're putting in more than one. All right, our con.commit. We're going to change this to multiple employees successfully inserted into table. And here, problem trying to insert database records. All right, now, so I don't run into the same error I had before, down here, after we insert one employee, all right, we're going to call insert multiple employees. And again, we're going to need two parameters here. The first one is our connection, and the second one is going to be our list of employees. So again, we can put whatever we want here. I'm just going to make up some names. So Fred, let's do the Flintstones. Flintstone. All right, I'm having a problem here. My battery is just about out, so let me pause for just a moment. All right, I think I've got that fixed. So Fred Flintstone, and we'll give Fred an email of fredf@yahoo.com. com. All right, let's copy this 3 more times. So we'll have Fred, then we'll have Wilma. And it'll be Wilma F. And we'll do Barney. And this will be, whoops, I'll fix that. And finally, we'll do Betty. All right, so that should put, hopefully, that'll put them in there. All right, so that's the next thing that we want to do. Now, if it worked, we should say multiple employees successfully inserted into table. Otherwise, we should see problem trying to insert. Okay, we don't have the database there, so let's run it. Let's move this up again. We'll just do it like this. All right, well, hey, that's kind of neat. We got a syntax error. So it's showing that our try-catch is working. So problem trying to insert near EMP's syntax error. Well, we're going to fix that right now. That's not a problem. Probably someplace in here I used EMP. Someplace else I might have used EMPs. I don't know. Con, that looks good. That all looks good. So the error should be in here. Okay, we're going to find it. C equal con.cursor, insert. That's our execute many here. All right, I just put it in here like this. Okay, let's try that again. We don't need any of that. So insert this into this, just like it's shown. Like that. We don't need that anymore. We've already done this. So we commit, we say multiple, if it worked. All right, let's try that again. So, database connection established. Employees table successfully created. Employee Ryan Peters successfully inserted into the table, and multiple employees successfully inserted into the table. So far, the good news is everything's working. The bad news is we haven't written that routine yet that is allowing us to read in our employees. So let's write that one now. All right. So this one will be called read employees, and it will require just a connection. All right, so we will create our cursor. We'll have our select star from employees. Again, I'm putting it on one line because that's all that's here. Row equals C dot fetch all. If you don't know what that is, you didn't watch the last video. For row in rows, print f string. We don't want to here, so we'll say name row 0 followed immediately by row 1. And then email, which will be row 2. Okay, I think that's all correct. That's rows. We again need our except. So we use again the same one that we've been grabbing all this time. All right, so here problem trying to read database records. Okay, now that's all fine and dandy, but we, as you know, to use this, we're going to have to call it. All right, so let's call it right down here. We just read these in. All right, so let's come down here and call read employees. We need to pass in our connection. See what happens. Well, we're getting something here. There we go. You can see we've got Ryan Peters, so we read in first. And then we've got our multiple employees. And then we're reading them out. This looks wrong because we got Fred Wilma, so that shouldn't be right. That should be Wilma F, but we'll fix that right now. 2 Gmails, 2 Yahoos, and another Gmail. All right. All right. Let's go back and quick, as I just mentioned, let's fix this. So it's just Wilma at yahoo.com, so that'll fix that. All right. So if you remember, the next thing that we want to do in here is we want to read in just the Gmail employees. So what we can do here, I didn't do this, but we probably would have been a nice thing to do. And that would have been to come up here. And this was function number 1. Create database connection. This would be number 2. Create database table. And we had number 3. Insert 1 employee. And we just did number 4. Insert multiple employees. Now, the last one we did was number 5. That's insert multiple employees. 4 was to insert, hold on, multiple employees. Oh, this is 6. And what I'm doing here, 6. This is function read employees. It's got a connection. And this function will attempt to read all records in the employees table. All right, so that's 6. So let's do the next one. Again, I'm doing a bunch of copy in here, but that's fine. So this will be number 7. And this will allow us, rather than read employees, all right, we'll call this one read Gmailers. All right, again, we need a connection. All right, we're going to read Gmailers, attempt to read all employees with a Gmail email address in the employees table. Okay. So C equals con.cursor. We'll call this select Gmailers query. And that'll be equal to, let's put in a doc string here. And it'll be a select star from employees where email like gmail.com. I wonder if there's a better way to write that. I'm going to leave it the way it is for right now. C.execute. Execute. Select Gmailer query. Just like before, we're going to have that rows equal fetch all. And we're going to print that. So let's put that right down here. So fetch all. We're going to write the name, and we're going to write the Gmail. We didn't put a print in here, so print employees with a Gmail email address. All right, and then we're going through and we're printing them. Otherwise, problems trying to read database records should be okay. All right, now that's okay. That's basically done. However, to my knowledge, if we go down further in our program here, we're never calling this. So we've got our read employees, but now we want to call read Gmailers. And we want to pass in again that connection. So let's see what happened here. Again, we'll do a file save. And again, we will run the program. All right, notice employees with a Gmail email address, and all 3 of them do. So we don't have Fred, we don't have Wilma. So all of that, again, is working. So what's left? We've got to update, doing it the quote bad way unquote. We've got to update, doing it the quote good way unquote. And we have to delete. All right, so that's what's left in here. Let's first begin by removing the database again. All right, and let's check our time. All right, we're right around 55 minutes. So when I come back, it'll probably end up being a shorter lecture. All right, but I want to finish this up. I could probably finish it all in here. Then it's going to be like an hour and 15 or whatever. I like to keep these things, if I can, an hour or less. All right, so we'll come back. You'll get the shtick at the beginning that I always give, and then we'll take it from there. And again, we will do the update, doing it the quote bad way when we pass in a first and last name, then the update quote the good way, where we will pass in a row ID, And finally, we will do the delete, where we will again use the row ID. All right, then we will, maybe I'll even copy over the comments that I made before from the other copy of this. Okay, so I'll be back shortly. Thanks.